Hey, guys, I guess the clock is straight up. We're all set. Our usual reminder, turn our phones off. So they only flash or beep, but don't make too much other extra noise. After all, what could be more important than us right here? Yeah. There you go. So thanks, everyone. We will call this meeting to order and ask for a roll call if we may.
Yes, ma'am. All right, we've got Carolyn Whiteman.
I am here.
Ted Benbow is not here. Shannon Carey.
Here.
Alina Davis.
Here.
Natasha Early, are you out there in Zoom land?
Hi, I'm here. Yes.
Oh, perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah. David Epstein.
Here.
Christy Hughes, are you out there?
I'm here.
Perfect. Joseph Janak.
Here.
Richard Russell.
Here.
And John Weir.
Here.
Perfect. Okay.
Great. All right, well, let's do our Pledge of Allegiance. Miss Annie, would you like to lead us in the pledge? I don't have the minutes in front of me for approval. Do we need to?
I emailed them to everyone
Oh,
times. Yeah, it's just a lot of paper to waste to be printing them out.
okay, I think
Yeah.
that's a good idea. Then I will give my likely approval of them and go back and re-review them. So thank you. Are there any adjustments from anybody else on the minutes?
No, I didn't have time to read them either.
Well, we'll give a temporary likely approval, and if there's something that we've missed, maybe make the request that within 48 hours, those on the committee will come back and say, oops, I want to say something. Is that agreeable?
I could also recommend if needed, we can approve them at a future meeting if people need more time to review. We could do that as well. Just
We can
giving
do
you the
that.
option.
I think we can give approval pending any huge resistance that anyone has. I think that's fair from this group. You've done such a great job with them, so thank you. And I also want to say thank you to all of our committee for being here, for those of you who have elected to stay and come back, and for those of you who may have conflicts and are not able to re-up on the committee. I think we want to be alert to people in the community that might make equally committed attendance and attention to this wonderful park. So let's be on the lookout for that. So thanks to everybody who's here. Okay, I would like to, if we have emergency agenda additions, I'd like to start out by inviting the manager, if we can. Thank you very much, Ron, for attending and honoring us with your time. And if there's anything that you would like to add, comment on, bring us up to date on, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, committee members. The chair asked me to give an update on the baseball field. There's not a lot to talk about. Just to recap, after many hours of public meetings, and we had several people on a task force for the baseball field, on January 8th, the council passed on a 5-0 vote their version of the baseball license agreement. We sent that on the next day to the school board. They subsequently had a retreat in Key West and made major changes to it. We tried to work out some differences. They passed their own version. And just like in Congress, if you don't have identical bills, nothing passes. So until we have an identical license agreement, nothing's going to happen. That was prior to baseball season ending. Now that the baseball season's over, we are kind of in limbo. So on Friday, I was in Key West. I went to the baseball game down there and talked for a while with Ed Tierney, the superintendent. I also saw individually Yvette Talbot and Dr. Sue Woltansky, talked to them a little bit about it. There's still some issues about the building, the concession stand slash restroom slash whatever else it may be, and where it's going to be, where the restrooms are. And my suggestion to the superintendent was, look, we have kind of a consensus on the field itself. There's been a 5-0 vote by the council and by the school board that we're going to have artificial turf, that the village has final say over anything that goes there. We want to make sure it has proper drainage, that it's proper quality, injuries, as the doctor has brought up before about artificial turf being probably safer for baseball than the grass. And they kind of like the idea of maybe just focusing on the field. Let's reach a consensus on the field, and it can do that about 3 months. I watched the field in Key West at Bayview Park from beginning to end, done in about 3 months. So if we want to get the field done, my recommendation is let's go ahead and get an agreement on the field. We can hold back on the rest of the improvements there and have more public input if we need it, and more discussion. That's been met with tentative approval individually, but until we actually get something done, it's not there. So I was hoping to hear back today. I messaged the superintendent today, told him I had talked individually this morning with our school board our village council members, and they seem to be open to that. I talked individually with some of the school board members. They seem open to it. But unfortunately, until we get something in writing, we are where we are. I did tell the superintendent that, and Maria's here, that I did not want our park staff touching the field anymore. If they don't reach an agreement on artificial turf, it'll stay grass, and it'll stay grass totally under the supervision of the school board. Because last year, as you remember, they started pointing fingers like whose fault it was that the field's not in pristine condition. And my position is that Brightview are the current ones doing it. They'll keep doing it. We'll pay our fair share, but I don't want our parks people touching it if it stays grass. I don't think it should stay grass because we have to keep watering it. We have to keep fertilizing it, keep using pesticides. But if that's the final decision that we can't reach a consensus, then it'll be up to the school board to maintain it. And so that's kind of where we've left it. And I wish I had more to update you, but that's kind of my latest update, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
So it sounds to me like there are 2 or 3 different separate issues. Is that right? The first one,
There's
go
more
ahead.
well, what happened was we had an agreement and from the village to them. Several things came up. They were worried about what if, let's say in 3 years from now, the village kicked them out. We said, we want to cancel the agreement. And they said they put $6 million into the whole project. How much would we have to pay them back? And they put an amortization schedule. And my position was, we're not going to kick them out, but let's say if argument's sake, we'll go back and forth on that. We said maybe $4.5 million. They said $6 million. Once again, argument something's probably never going to happen. So that was one issue. The other issue is what happens if we change our minds on the plans, how much we have to reimburse them for. And once again, I think they're talking about in a year or two from now. And even on that, I said, okay, let's say we do the field. We're not going to change our mind on the field. They've already budgeted of the $6 million. They've allocated $2 million for the field, which is about $1 million more than I had, I didn't budget it. But when the AstroTurf guy came in, and many of you saw it, I said to him in a public meeting, if you redid the one in Bayview Park, like here, roughly what would that cost? He said $1 million. He said actually less than $1 million, so let's call it $1 million. And so let's say they're budgeting double that. We should get a really nice field for $2 million. If they did put it in there, we're not going to change our minds. I think what they're worried about is us changing them on the building. Like after we've already permitted, et cetera, come in and say, we'd rather have the bathrooms, flip the bathroom, et cetera. And they're worried about having to redo the plans. And so that's why I was suggesting maybe pulling that off the shelf right now and putting it on the shelf and saying, if you want to have more input on that, but overall, we have to issue permits for everything. And so until we issue the permit, which we haven't, we can change our mind or give our input on anything we want to. We've had their designs for almost a couple of months now, and I asked my building official to review it as though we had an agreement and find in case there are some issues we might have that they don't meet construction code, et cetera. And I'm not aware of any issues. So if the school board came in today and said, we're willing to take your 5-0 agreement as it was written, we're good to go. They haven't done that and don't seem to want to do that. So my point was, if we kind of agree on the field, let's just do the field and start right away on that. I saw Chaz Spotswood at the baseball game. It was a big game. He's head of Keystar, and I ran that past him, and he said they're ready. They could do that right away. The complicating factor is there's another project. It's a separate project behind the high school. Because people seem to be confusing. Oh, we just won't do the field. We'll do it behind the high school. That's not what they're talking about. It's a totally separate project. Richie has more information than I do. But I think people are confused and say, well, if they don't do the field, they can put the money behind the high school. The high school project's already funded in a separate way than the project here at Founders. And so I think there's been some confusion on that too. So anyway, the update is that we're trying to at least move forward with the field. If the school board wants to move to the building too, that's fine, except that I think I'm getting a lot of input, not a lot, but some input about the building itself, even on the council. And so, I'm always open to more public inputs. If we can just separate out the building and the bleacher, what type of bleachers, which side they're on, how big they are, leave those issues for now over here, focus on the field, because there's a lot of work just to prep it, but make sure that field is the best field in the state of Florida. With a $2 million field, you should have a really, really good field. But we have drainage issues, we have safety issues, we have, the other issues with any turf field. But I watched the baseball game Friday night and talked to some of the players and coaches and said, how's your artificial turf working out? They said there's been no issues because there was problems about the heat, the damages, to kids and all. And they said it's been worked out fine. So.
Hey, Ron, all this money, is it fenced? So we don't have to work, because there's a lot of budget cutting going on within the school board. We're good. That isn't part of their issue. It's just cut, basically design.
No, there's no funding issue. The money's been set aside. And by the way, it's not property taxes. It's, I think, sales tax, et cetera. So it's not like coming from your, I guess if you pay sales tax, it does, but for the most part, it's funded by tourists. So some people have asked about the property tax impact. There isn't really one. The money's been allocated for years, actually. It originally started at 5 million, it's up to 6 million, maybe more. But that's their money. I've been asked publicly, and I'll say it again, if it went over their budget, how much is the village willing to pay? Our official answer, until I'm told otherwise, is zero. Yet the total cost is being paid by the school board. So if they want to do more there, that's great, but we're not paying for it. So it's not a budget issue, it's a control issue. And I spoke to the school board. Richie actually spoke right before I did, and we both made the same point that this is just a landlord-tenant issue. Yeah, we are the landlord, they're the tenant. And just like any other lease that any of us done, if a tenant wants to make improvements to the property you're leasing, fine, just come in, get my approval, make sure I know who the contractor is, what kind of materials you're using, et cetera. But the school board's not used to being the tenant. They're used to doing projects on their own property with no oversight. So for example, we're going to require permits. I told them, like the first baseline building, they're already making plans. And I told my staff, if they come in and do work without a permit, red tag them. And, we own that building. And until they come work with us, it's just been, I think, some communication issues, which I'm not sure why, but, and same as the field, like we want to have oversight. We own the property, but we want the same thing the school board wants and the high school team, the best field possible. And I don't understand why we just can't agree on the field, but that's where we are.
Well, I think one of the problems is probably because the school board wants to give Keystar carte blanche. They say, build us that field. And we, as the owners of that property, want to have oversight as to what material is there, who's doing the prepping, is the prepping done properly, and they're not willing to do that. Would that be a correct statement?
I'm not sure that's correct. I've met with Keystar, and they've been told by the school district, we have that oversight. In fact, they told us they're waiting for us for specs. I'm like, we're not going to give you specs. You just bring them to us. They want us to pick the contractor other than Keystar. Keystar has been selected. I don't have any problem with Keystar. It's who's going to be they're not going to be the ones doing the field. Chaz told me they've hired a firm, I think it's called MSA, that's done turfs or stadiums around the country. And they're the ones actually trying to find the vendor for turf. But they haven't brought it to us yet. But we've told them that's one thing that's not negotiable, that we have total say over what goes on the field. And they've agreed, but they haven't actually given me anything. So I'm not sure how far down that road, because I think once this thing's stalled, they may have put that on hold. And my point was, just keep pushing forward, bring us the specs, bring us the contractor. I don't know who they've picked, if they've even picked one, because they thought we picked AstroTurf. I said, no, they contacted me. I had them come in because you heard the meeting. I thought AstroTurf guy did a good job of explaining it because I wasn't an expert on turf, still not, but I know more than I did. And I thought he did a good job of telling us, what would be involved. I've talked to Doc Ware about the injury situation. I've talked to Larry Zetwalk about the heat situation on the field. I've gotten a lot of input. I've talked to environmentalists about the drainage. So we've gotten a lot of input, but no specifics. Point being, once again, with $2 million, it should be the best field in the state of Florida. And the details are out there, but I'll push for the details in the field. But until we have an agreement, we didn't want to get too much into it since there's no agreement.
I think the other thing that I have run across is the warranties on the turf fields. They are very specific.
That came up about what kind of footwear, et cetera. I think that's what you're referring to.
Not only footwear, but what happens if we have a hurricane, and that field is damaged.
Well, the field is going to be.
That warranty is gone.
We did have a discussion with the school district and we've made it clear that's 100% on the school district. They're going to put the field in, they're responsible for the field. If there's damages or whatever, they fix it. We have to be careful from our part. Like for example, we wouldn't have the nautical market set up on the field and then people driving stakes through it and put their tents. I mean, that's not going to happen. So we have to, obviously Maria knows that we're not going to do something on the field. Let's say the turf is installed. We're not going to go out and on the field and do something stupid that would create damage to the field. It's our field too. I mean, it's actually our property. So we would have strict rules on what could or couldn't be done on the field if it is turf. And so I don't think that'd be an issue. If there's some special requirements, we don't know who it is yet, but if it's a specific turf that needs certain rules, then we'll see if that's reasonable. I mean, I can't really think of something that would be unreasonable. I'm not sure it goes to the level of, maybe like certain types of spikes that would leave holes in it, for example. But as Richie knows, who's more of a baseball guy than me, there's certain, cleats you can use that are not going to be damaging to turf. Once again, I just watched the Key West High baseball team play on it, and whatever shoes they're using is probably the right kind of shoes.
Has the actual decision been made that it is artificial turf as opposed to grass? Have we grown beyond that, or is that still a part of this conversation?
In my opinion, that decision's been made. In other words, there was a 5-0 vote by the council and a 5-0 vote for the school board on a plan that both sides agreed was artificial turf.
Okay.
I think that decision has been made as far as, is it grass versus turf? Now, decisions as far as the particulars have not been made, like who's the vendor, what warranties, that kind of thing. Also, the maintenance of it's been decided. It's going to be the school board's, whether it's grass or turf, truthfully, but let's say it's turf, then it's up to the school board because it takes a specialized kind of care for turf. And so we don't want it to become our responsibility after season ends, for example. Whoever maintains it during season should maintain it year round. I don't think it'd be much of a problem for turf as it is now, because right now the games are done. And so in a few weeks, it'll probably start looking kind of not that great, because it takes continuous maintenance. It costs us a lot of money to, water it, pesticide, fertilizer, et cetera, which I don't really want to do. And somebody even suggested, well, we'll have the school district come and put a new grass field, which once again doesn't seem to be a very good use of taxpayer money or even sales tax money, because I do think we should have, a new field there, but not grass, because it'd be silly to then make an agreement and then tear it out next year. Makes no sense. So my thought is push as far as we can on the turf, get it installed as soon as possible, be ready for next season. If we can do the other, fine, but the first baseline building's still there. And so the locker rooms, all things that they wanted can still be done in the existing building. If they want to have another concession stand / restrooms, et cetera, I mean, that's fine. We voted for a plan that had it. They just changed it. The school board changed it.
So the leverage right now is that nothing's going on, and it sounds like the school board needs to make a decision if they want a baseball field.
That would be my position. Once again, the village council, after, as
Yeah.
Alina knows, a lot of input,
Yeah.
voted 5-0. I was actually surprised it was unanimous. But we voted 5-0. The council voted 5-0. We gave it to them. They never directly responded.
And
They
that was
changed it. They
January,
sent it
was
to our
it not?
lawyer. That's back in January, maybe February is when they made the changes. And since then, we keep pushing them, say, why don't you get our lawyers with your lawyers and work it out? And for whatever reason, that hasn't happened.
No, and then they reiterated, the village council did 4-0 because Steve Friedman was out, that they were sticking with that original 5-0 vote.
Yeah.
That contract.
Yeah, I did meet with the superintendent. We did try to work out some differences, but then the version they gave back to us had some major, I don't call them errors, just to say not correctly interpreting what we had talked about. And until the village council votes, like somebody said, you've negotiated X, Y, Z, I don't have the ability to finalize anything. Anything I do has to come to village council. And at this point, the only official position is the 5-0 vote, the January version. If we reach an agreement on an addendum, whatever, that will come back before the council. But we don't even have that yet. We've sent them some versions of addendums, et cetera, and they haven't responded. We sent them some of the differences, to try to narrow down the differences. Lena's given me some information. Jamie Engel, who's done a great job also, has looked at the stuff and given us ideas. But until the school board officially acts on something, there's no agreement. We do have but by the way, there still is an interlocal agreement. So it's not that there's no agreements. We did the interlocal agreement back in 2024 before I came on board. And so that was voted on by both the council and the school board. So there is an interlocal agreement, but that agreement requires a baseball license agreement and a use agreement, which we would probably roll into one document. It doesn't make sense to have two separate ones. But that's the one, when I'm talking about that, that's what I'm talking about is the baseball license agreement, not the interlocal agreement.
Richie, do you have anything to add? Only,
No, I thank Ron for his leadership in this. I think honestly that at this point in time, the way that, would be prudent for us to do is put the field in. I think from day one, that's been priority 1, 2, and 3. And, the amenities and so forth, obviously everybody wants to have restrooms closer and it'd be nice to have concession stand, all that kind of stuff. But, moving the fence forward and bringing the dugouts in closer and so forth is, obviously that was our chief priority and it remains that. So hopefully, the school board comes to consensus in the very near future. We are fortunate that it only takes 3 months from like the day you say yes to the day we're playing ball on it. But we don't want to flirt with that any further, I don't think.
And as a reminder, it was at this meeting months ago that I made the recommendation and that to you guys that we remove remember there are going to be 2 buildings there. The other one was even larger than the one that's still in the plans. And I recommended abolishing that one. Y'all agreed. I went to the council. They agreed. School board agreed because we didn't think we really needed that second building because, because the things that can be done at that second building can be done at the existing building. So we've made some changes already. It wasn't like we rubber stamped what the school board was doing and they went along with it. That's why I'm not sure why all of a sudden we've hit a roadblock because, especially with the field, as Richie says, there's no reason to not do the field. There's a 5-0 vote on both sides. It's going to be artificial turf. And I know that everybody's thrilled with that. There's going to be some people that will never agree to turf. They always want grass. They're entitled to their opinion, but that's not the position of the school board or the council at this point. So if we can get an artificial turf field in there at the school board's total expense with our input and our final approval of everything, remember, they have to get permits for everything. This is not their property, it's our property. And if we, for some reason, say no, the answer is no. But they haven't even asked the question. Officially, they have, I never signed a design build contract. So they're kind of operating on their own on some things, which they might want to be more concerned about apparently, but they're not.
It sounds like the ball is in their court. They just kind of come to the realization that they're the tenant and the village is the owner, and that's the relationship they got to get used to. And I think all that thought about putting in the field, yeah, I don't know why they don't do it, but they're not used to being the tenant. So they want to call the shots, but they can't.
Well, the other problem, just philosophically, is that when you run for school board, you run because you're into education. You're into the students, you're into the curriculum, education stuff. They didn't run to be construction managers and contract overseers. And I think, for example, they told me all their negotiations are not done with the school board. They're done through their attorneys, which those of you familiar with our council know that's not the case with our council. We have more of a hands-on council and they've had a lot of input. So I think that's part of the problem is they're not used, in addition to not being the landlord, they're not being a tenant. They're also not used to their school board being actively involved in negotiations. And they've deferred that to their lawyer. And for whatever reason, that hasn't happened. I mean, our lawyer's involved too, but more from a legal, take a look at this and see if there's any legal problems. But the negotiations were designated to me and to superintendent. But it seems like the lawyers on their side are more involved in this discussion than in my opinion, they should be. Because that seems to be where the hangup is that with the lawyer, because I don't see, and talking individually, they have sunshine too, so you can't have them talk to each other, but they can talk to me. And I've talked to a majority of the school board and I'm not getting any pushback. So I'm not sure why we just can't come to an agreement, but that's where we are. That's why when the chair asked me for an update, I'm like, I'll give you an update, but I'm not sure how much more I can add than what you've read in the newspaper, because
Yeah.
behind the scenes stuff doesn't count until it becomes in writing, approved by the district and approved by our council.
Is there any leverage in the timing in that the longer it waits, if you've given instructions to the staff not to go onto the field and not to maintain it, is there any leverage that says, wouldn't it be better to get this thing fixed now before something else happens? Or am I making that up?
No, that's exactly the leverage I told them. I said to them, my direction to Maria, unless I get different direction from the council, is we're not going to touch the field. And if they want to let it go a couple months and see what it looks like with us not maintaining it, we can take some pictures of it and send it to the press and see what they think about it. If I were them, I
in
wouldn't do that.
addition to that, isn't the use of the field designed that some overflow from soccer practice or camp or something, in the event that the field is now functioning, that would be available to the park while it's not baseball? Did I make that
I'll
up?
defer to Maria, but yeah, as far as I know, in the past, I've only been here a year, and I haven't seen much there, but we can use for other things. I'm not sure if there's anything scheduled.
In the summer, we do have one camp scheduled. Montessori will be using the outfield for a little sports camp.
So right now,
The outfield grass, not the infield.
the outfield grass, as it deteriorates, becomes less appealing to be used or less accessible to be used until it gets fixed.
Yes, we'll evaluate that when time comes. If they
Yeah.
can't use the high school field, then they'll use this field.
Okay.
Hopefully it won't come to
We'll
that.
make sure, we'll make sure that it's maintained well enough.
I'm just saying maintain the level of a baseball field.
Yeah.
Baseball fields are very specialized care. And the problem is we don't want to have our people trained, aren't necessarily trained to be baseball field keepers to do primarily the infield parts, what I'm referring to. The outfield, if that's just straight grass, we'll probably keep it mowed or whatever. But my main concern is the baseball aspect of that field and its specialized care. And I don't want our folks having to, the clay, and when it rains and it washes away, I've heard all those complaints in the past, and I don't want our folks to have to deal with it, because, we don't want them doing the baseball field. And I think, my sense is there's consensus, which is why I'm still a little frustrated that we're not getting an agreement, because we're still televised, do the dang field and get it over with. Because once again, if it had been a 3-2 vote or whatever, but 5-0 votes on both sides, it is turf. I'm not a huge fan of turf. I like grass too, but that's the decision. That's the decision. Until I'm told otherwise, it's turf.
So thank you for the update. Is there anything that we as a committee might request or say or do rather than just receiving this?
Not really. I mean, if I knew of something, obviously, Richie has more connections with the school district in some ways than I do. I've talked to the principal, I've talked to the baseball coach, the athletic director. Let's just say they appreciate our efforts. I'll leave it at that. The village's efforts.
Anything else, committee?
My response to that would be too, that, I'm an employee of the school board. They're less likely to, be impacted by my email, but your emails are important. Your phone calls are important. And, I think, it's, if we get an active community, they're responsive.
mean, I've heard allegations that this is the typical of the history that, the Upper Keys get shafted by Key West. That's out there. I haven't sensed any anti-Upper Keys bias. Like I said, I was in Key West. To full disclosure, I am a Key West conk. It's not like I'm biased either way. And I haven't sensed any pushback because of the dynamics of that. It's just it's the control issue. If I had to use one word, it's control. And they're not used to having oversight, and we want it. It's nothing anti-Upper Keys. It's not the money. The money's been allocated. It's not a budget issue. It's just details over who controls what, and they don't want to, give us any control, and we don't want to give it up. Just for certain things. There's certain things. I'm not going to argue what color the interior walls are.
So the recommendation sounds like the council needs to ask in writing what's the holdup?
We pretty much have.
No, not pretty much. I mean, we need it in writing. So that way something can happen. Because right now it sounds like it's just,
Well, our
They don't-
our next meeting's May 12th. And so that's kind of my internal deadline is I'd like to, if we need any action, it'll be done May 12th. But right now I have nothing to take to the council. And so if we can, if we've in writing, writing from me
right.
to the superintendent who's been delegated by the interlocal to be the negotiator with me. I've said to him, let's do, at least work on the field part of it. Talk to your school board members and get back to me. And that's what we're waiting on. I've talked to individual art council members and, for the most part, they've said we voted. They know what our position is. The ball's in their court or in their glove, whatever analogy you want to use. And so that is where we are.
Well, would it be appropriate that in the next report that we do as a committee to council, or that we initiate some communication to council or school board and just say, we're inquiring because we're the committee that's heard the reports?
I don't think it would
that-
have hurt. I mean, the school district is just like the county commission. They have districts. Our district person is Dr. Sue Oltansky. That's the one I've probably been in touch with more than anybody on the school board. And there's been some wavering there, but whether we should get it done right now or wait for a year. I've heard, both ways. Once again, all of you are respected members of the community. I'm sure they'll listen to you. It's just that I'm not sure the school board is the real problem. I think it's hung up with their attorney. And we've reached out to the superintendent and asked him. It'd be like them telling me them trying to tell John Quick what to do. Our lawyer, they can't do that with us. We're not gonna do it with them. I can't call, Vernon Bowling and say, get this thing done as soon as you can. They have to tell them that.
Mhm.
So that's kind of where we are at this point.
All right, well, thank you for the update.
Sure.
Is there anything else, committee, on this? And Ron, anything else to report or bring us up to? We're happy to have you here and don't want to
Well,
keep
every
you.
Tuesday, we have a staff directors meeting. Every Tuesday, I ask Maria, how's the pool coming? And she says it's on schedule and on budget. So until I hear otherwise, Maria says the pool's going to open the end of next month, which is like next week is May.
That's
Actually, this
great.
weekend's May. So at the end of May, we hear that's going to be done and we're keeping our fingers crossed. But apparently it's been a lot of progress on it. I come out every few days and there's 5 or 6 guys out there working. So it seems like they're making progress, unless Maria has something to add to that. Oh, okay. I didn't see. Okay.
Great.
Good
Thank you
job,
so
Maria and
much.
Anna. Our staff's doing a great job of overseeing it, and it's going to be a really nice pool. And a lot of people keep asking me, so that's why I want to make sure I pointed out that Maria's on top of it and her staff. And so unless you're otherwise, it's going to be into May. It'll be back open.
That's great. Well, thanks, Ron, so
Sure.
much for coming and for your presentation. Anything else, guys? We appreciate you coming and being here. Thank you. Okay, are there other emergency agenda additions or deletions, or do we move to public comment?
We do. We have Emily Rother, the Cultural Arts Coordinator. She would like to talk to the group about the Tribute Wall of Fame. She is actually, should be.
Hello, I'm here.
Hi,
Hi.
Emily.
It's nice to see you all. Hello, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name's Emily Rother. I'm the village's cultural arts coordinator, and I'm really excited to be supporting the Parks and Rec Department with the Tribute Wall of Fame project. So as Maria invited me, I wanted to spend about 2 minutes telling you about a proposal that I have for how we can get this thing done. And then I'm happy to take any questions you might have. And I apologize for joining via Zoom. I'm on a family vacation in France. So, yes.
Don't apologize for it. Enjoy it.
Thank you. Yeah, we had wine and cheese for dinner. Very French. Anyhow,
Yep.
so the way that we have discussed potentially pursuing this Tribute Wall of Fame project is through a call to artists. So the village would publish a call to artists and invite artists either locally, nationally, or from the state of Florida. We can decide that in a small committee, how wide to expand this, to submit like information about their past work and a small blurb about what kind of project they would do. And the call to artists will have photographs of the space, dimensions, and requests for what we want the wall to look like. The idea that we have so far, I don't think I need to tell you because I think it was your idea, but is to have a wall on the exterior of the main building inside the pool enclosure that talks about the history, all the notable figures who've been involved in designing and creating the pool, using the pool, famous coaches and swimmers, divers. I'm not going to continue listing sports because I'm sure I'm going to miss some. And then also a wall of fame portion with interchangeable names so that current pool users can swap out high scores and records. So the call to artists would be published, artists would apply, and then a small committee would select 3 of those artists and pay them a small stipend, a few $100s, to create a more thorough proposal, like a real design. How big would it be? What materials? What's it going to look like? They could do some community interviews, talk with council members to understand the content for the wall as well. Then the selection committee would be able to choose between those 3 more detailed proposals. And then finally, hopefully by next spring, summer, we would have a tribute wall, a wall of fame installed by the pool. So I'll pause here and take any questions you have.
Well, I do. Hi, it's Joe. And Maria and Danny, if you, we had a small committee
Yeah.
meeting about a year ago. And I even went out and took some pictures of some Hall of Fame walls in Fort Lauderdale and Miami. And I haven't heard anything since, because then I left for the summer. Yeah, it was exactly a year ago. So has there been any continuation of that particular committee that I guess I was on
Well-
because we talked about the things that Emily is doing.
You're right. You're
So I
absolutely
just
right.
wanted to
There
update
has
that.
been,
And I'm
yeah.
still on that committee as
You
far as I
still
know.
are on that committee.
So,
You're right.
I'm glad to hear that
Yeah.
it wasn't dead in the water, so to
No.
speak.
And
So,
yes,
if
it's
you
been a
could
while.
fill me in.
Yes, nothing has happened since
Okay,
last summer.
All right.
We kind of got derailed. And now we have signed Emily up and she's so nice to help us out and try to get things going. And she has the background and the knowledge of how to, move forward with this.
I think it's a great idea
Yeah.
because the wall is big
Yep.
and we don't have enough records to even put on that wall. John, you could even chime in on this, how
Yeah.
you want to do it.
Yeah.
And having the artist put something in there is a really
Right.
cool. I
So-
think it's great.
Right, and so we would like to have that committee still participate. I think it
Okay.
was John and Elena and you. So yes, we are going to need your help and would like to get things rolling again. So we will be asking for that. So
Joe, you can attend it from.
All I would like to say briefly is that this is a much more workable approach to doing something with the wall. It was originally presented to the small committee specifically as a wall of fame. And after our first meeting, it frankly became obvious that that was not going to be sustainable for a project like this. And so then it morphed into a tribute wall, which is what you've described beautifully for us this afternoon. And I think the whole concept of a tribute wall is much more appropriate and is much more feasible than the original goal of creating a wall of fame. So I think it's great.
Emily, anything else?
No,
Thank you.
I'll leave it to Maria, and I'll look forward to working with the small committee, and they'll keep you all updated on the project. Thank
then
you for
Maria-
your time.
Yes,
We'll get
yeah.
to start getting together on.
When
it.
Emily
I
gets
heard
back,
the timeline saying next spring, which is good. I went, "Phew," because I'm not gonna be here the next few months, but.
right, well, we'll get the group back together.
Okay.
You know, once Emily gets back from her vacation, we'll regroup, and we just needed to hear that from the committee that you are still support the idea and support moving forward. So we'll get things rolling again. And obviously the village council, we are going to need money in the budget to move forward with the project. So that is something that's going to have to be, you know, discussed during the village budget cycle. So that's coming up in probably about 2 months from now. So we will be asking for funding to support the project.
Well, and Joe, may I suggest that there's been a very appropriate example that our presenter is currently in France doing this presentation. So your commentary about being out of town is, I'm sorry, is no longer acceptable. Busted.
Yeah. Thank you, Emily.
Thanks, Emma.
Good
Thanks,
night.
Emily.
Good night.
Just a side note on that. I mean, and I get it, she left, but when we talk about funding on this, this is something that we should easily be able to fundraise as well. I mean, the village needs to go in there, but you know, you look at the art district in downtown, they will get behind this so heavily once we have a plan forward. And yeah, it'll be a good one.
Thank you.
Great. All right, that's do we move to public comment? Do we have public comment?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have some public comment?
You know, I'm going to interject something. I'm not a public, I was actually going to put it under the other heading. I've only become recently aware of this. We obviously, it's a very distinguished committee, proud to be on it. Had no idea that Shannon was a colonel in our military. And I thank you for your service. No, it's not on there, but the other thing I'd be remiss if I didn't say, her son's graduating this year, and Jamie is nothing short of outstanding. He is immensely talented. There's depth and diversity to his talent. And he's a great student and just a great young man. So you got much to be proud of. And again, thank you for your service.
What are his plans?
He's going to University of Arizona, studying medicine.
Great.
Yeah, at least that's today's plan. So we'll see, but he's excited, but thank
Well-
you very much. That was really nice.
Congratulations.
Here.
You send him that speech, that famous speech about just make your bed.
Just make.
Oh, yeah.
It's a book. Oh,
It's a whole book.
Well, I saw the speech, so.
Yeah, that's a good graduation.
There you go. There you
Thanks,
go.
Ryan.
All right. Is there anything else, any other public comment, or do we move on to next item?
We can move on. There's no
Okay.
public comment.
All right. Would you like to
Oh,
fill us in, Maria?
sure. Yes, this May, there going to be a change of committee members here, and at this point, I'd definitely like to thank the committee members that have served us for the last 2 years. And it's Shannon, Natasha, Christy, Joe, and John. Your term has up, but we definitely would like everyone to reapply to be on the committee. So it is something that we would like for everyone to do if you would like to continue to serve. But at this point in time, you do need to let the clerk's office know that you would like to continue. So that's important. Okay, good. Yeah, and just kind of just putting it out there. And I know certain members are not going to renew. And yeah, we know, it's okay. And those members are, I think, Shannon and Christy. And obviously, you know, we really appreciate you serving the community here and serving us for the last 2 years.
Thanks. It's been very interesting.
We really do. Thank you.
Christy, I
Thank
know
you.
you're there.
Thanks, Christy.
Oh my gosh, you're so welcome. Thanks to all of you.
Yeah, and obviously, as you know, residents of Isla Morada, you can always give us a call or come to these meetings and give us your input. We're always available to you, so.
Well, and we also clearly have set international standards, so being remote for meetings is, we've now proven is no longer acceptable, an acceptable excuse, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maria.
Mm.
Anything else there?
No, that's it.
Okay. Well, let's move on to our committee items. John, do you have something?
Yes, briefly for all of you, the background to this subject is that since the Founders Park has been closed, I've been going up to Jacobs, and I know that we approved, and all of you undoubtedly recall the meetings that were devoted to the new fee schedule for all aspects of park usage, including the pool, and they were passed and they are done. When I went to Jacobs to begin swimming for these past few months, the first thing I noticed is that they have considerably more lifeguards than we have. We are working right now on 3 full-time dedicated lifeguards, 4 if you count Anna Capps, but she has administrative responsibilities in the office as a part of park staff. And Jacobs has 25 lifeguards, approximately 25. Now, they're not all full-time, but clearly they have higher staffing levels. And they are able to do this, I personally believe, in large part because they charge more. For instance, for 3 months at Jacobs, 90 days, I'm paying $90, $1 a day. Annualized, that's $360 for an adult membership. That is more than our current. Admittedly, our new fee schedule that was approved by this committee, that was submitted by you, does include a cost increase. But this came up, frankly, as a question. So for Maria and Annie, and in absentia Anna, do you feel that this new fee schedule that we approved will give you the financial flexibility and leeway to create and hire more guards? Or you think you're still going to be really tight budget-wise?
I think they need more part-time guards, you know,
Well,
high school kids and
and that's, we're going through the process currently of hiring part-time lifeguards, right? Currently, we have 4 full-time lifeguards and those positions are full. Next budget, which is coming up in October, we plan on requesting another full-time lifeguard. So that is a plan of ours to increase the level of full-time. So as far as I know of, we are receiving decent amount of applicants for the part-time roles. And we will be, I think, sufficiently staffed for the summer.
For the summer, yes.
So with the increase, with this full-time lifeguard request, I think it will definitely help our situation. So that's where we're at. I guess the fees for the memberships doesn't always correlate to the amount of lifeguards that we have. So it's kind of, it looks different. It's not quite the same.
So it's not entirely a revenue-driven decision.
See,
Okay,
yeah, the Jacob Centers, they run off, they are privately managed.
okay.
That's a management company.
And I do realize that, but I didn't know if you're,
Run off, tax dollars, obviously.
Yeah.
And then also we receive taxes from the
Yes.
community. And then also our memberships help, the revenue
Mhm.
that we collect here for the
Okay.
facilities help, but it's not everything.
Okay. And I'm going to use hypothetical numbers just so the
Mhm.
math is easy. Let's say we have 500 different levels of or 500 different pool members, whether they're family or single, adult, whatever. And each one increases by an average of $40 per year. Again, this is all hypothetical. 500 times 40 is $20,000. If you can say, okay, our increased fee schedule will give us an additional $20,000 to work with, does that give you the financial flexibility to increase lifeguard staffing, or are you still constrained by other issues? I mean, if you go to Ron and say, hey, we have 20,000 more dollars or 30,000 more dollars or whatever the math works out to, will the village approve one full-time position and two part-time? I mean, is it purely
Yeah.
math?
I think we did increase the memberships, what, 30%? I think it was 30% increase. The non-residents are obviously paying more money. Non-residents, they have to pay as well as the gate fees to come in. So the memberships that are set right now that we just recommended, they're comparable to the Jacob Center. So Annie did a lot of research and a lot of background on that. So I think we're comparable, but Isla Morada residents, the memberships are cheaper because
Will you come back to us in October if it looks like it needs some tweaking?
Yes, and
Okay.
that's part of it, is that we have not, we've been closed
Mm.
since the new memberships been,
Yes.
addressed. So let us get through, the summer and see where we're at with the numbers. Annie was looking at the numbers for the gate entrance, since we revised the fees for the gate, and they have gone up significantly.
Okay,
Yeah. So I think give us some time. Let's
okay.
see how see how the summer goes, and we'll go from there.
So maybe we can look at it again in
Yeah.
October. That will be enough time that the pool will have been open.
See if you really feel that this full-time position is important for the Parks Department, then when it comes to budget cycle, then maybe you can always give your input.
Right.
Definitely.
If the budget meeting is in October, maybe we can
No,
talk about it in September.
Yeah, we have budget, they'll start in May,
Okay.
June, July. We're already in over the summer.
Got it.
So.
Okay.
John and Maria, could I get clarification? Is the number of lifeguards, full-time or part-time, connected with the service or the number of hours that the pool can be open? Is that what this is connected to? I hear the budget issue, but more importantly, is there something about having more lifeguards that would allow the pool to be open at a different level?
Well, these ladies could address better than I, but for those of us who are on the pool membership email list, there were several times during the fall when we received an email that the pool was simply going to be unexpectedly closed on short notice in the afternoon simply because of critical lifeguard staffing. We have 3 full-time guards. No offense, this is not you all. We're working them to death. It's a wonder they're still with us and not facing burnout. And there are only so many shifts that you can cover with 3 people. And once the students go back to school, that removes that. And so, yes, there were multiple times last fall when a general email was sent out by Alicia to all people who have pool memberships. The pool is closed this afternoon due to critical staffing shortages. And that knocks out Coral Shores. The new model, and this is coming straight from you all, the new model is that the coach, whatever coach is on deck, no longer counts as a lifeguard, correct?
Go ahead.
because the coach is focused on coaching. So you have to have a lifeguard. So if we have a lifeguard shortage, John Olson can't run a Coral Shores High School swim team workout or a Florida Keys swim club workout. So I'm hoping that we can just avoid future problems with staffing shortages.
Thanks. That makes sense that for the context of that. Thank you, John. Good. Anything else? So we're not starting the budget issue, but I get the context of that then.
But when
Good.
you say burnout, like what does that mean? Are they working more than 40 hours or like, I don't understand, like, how's that burnout? You said we had burnout issue with the actual lifeguards? What does that mean?
They work 4 days a week and up to 12 hours a day. So they have one kind of short, they mostly work 40 hours, but there are some needs for overtime. But it's a long day to span the hours that were operational.
Yeah.
Yeah. And part of that too, we've struggled to find part-time. And a lot of times, during the day, the kids are in school. So we really need that part-time adult who is willing to, cover those hours. So that's been really difficult to find in the past. And so I think the thought too is that if we have that fourth, just kind of reorganizing, it would help the full-time positions a little bit more desirable. It's stable, it's benefits, it's all of that. So that would help in terms of, having a body. As well as like he mentioned, our lifeguard or our aquatic supervisor has additional administrative duties and with the behind the scenes maintenance. It would just help us restructure and have a more sustainable operation, both for, staff burnout and just maintaining what we have going on here. So I think big picture wise, it's the right move. Like you mentioned, some new safety, just making sure that we're operating with the utmost safety plan, having that third guard here. And not relying on the coaches should never be both the coach and the lifeguard.
Yeah.
It's just,
So the only thing I was questioning was, I know up in Key Largo, that's a little bit of a jobs program up there as well. And because it is private, could we do work, and I hate to do this, like government type stuff, but like an MOU or something with them to say, hey, we're short this week, and make sure they're trained on our pool too, where they could come up here and actually work. So we don't have to close the pool down.
right.
So
That's something to be considered in the future. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. So we are looking good for summer. We do have a lot of our team, our part-time team. I think we have probably about 8 part-time members. But they're all graduating. There's a lot of graduating seniors in the group. So and we do have seasonal staff that come back from college that have been with us for several years. So it's really, getting into that fall. We're probably going to have to do another lifeguard course over summer. So we're still recruiting. But again, that full-time, it's definitely just more of an attractive, you get that stable, just brings us the stability.
Great. Thank you. Great topic. Anything else, John? Okay. All right. Maria, time for your report and you can cover all the loose ends for us.
Okay. I'm gonna let Annie go ahead and start the report, and she can give her information about the policies, the new policies, the programs and so forth. And then I'll finish it with my topics. So.
Yeah, we'll kind of reword
Yeah.
this. We're kind of mingled in here.
Yes.
Yes, so the first item, we're excited to announce that we had a really successful launch of our new admission policies and fees that took effect March 1st. It's been pretty well received. Some, renters are thrown off by it, but mostly everyone kind of, gets with the program and realizes that their fees are going to a really great place and keeping this place going. And then we also launched our new recreation management software, RecTrack. So that was a big undertaking, just changing our entire operations. But now we're fully digital. You can do all of our services are available at your fingertip through the app. And that's gone over really well. Digital access card. So when you come into the gate, it's on your phone. We just scan you in, we see your picture. If you're not digital, we have a little fob option. So it's been really nice. The staff's coming along, and I don't have the statistical reports available. We're hoping to have that for our next meeting so we can kind of compare with the new fees what that looks like compared to last year to really see the difference in the revenue. But at a first glance, it looks like it's pretty substantial. So, and again, this is due to our vacation rental or short-term rentals, and our hotel guests are now having to pay to enter the park. So that's an added, the added revenue source there. So it'll be interesting. Our next meeting, like I said, I'll have more of a comprehensive report and statistical comparison. So, but so far, so good. Everybody's been really mostly supportive of it. And the rec track system has created a lot of efficiencies for us, and to see those reports and actually have data, in terms of resident use of the park. Whereas previously, it's hard to track that. So this has given us the tool to track that. So very exciting. And yeah, so that's going very well.
That's great, Annie. Can I interrupt for a suggestion on this? We were talking about budget items, about the possibility of a budget, making a request for another lifeguard.
Mhm.
As we recall, everything that's collected at the gate does not come to the park. It
Not
goes to the general
general
fund,
right.
and the general fund supports the expenses here.
Right.
So it would seem that there might be a positive
Mhm.
way to present that
Right.
in having increased the revenue at the gate to the general fund, we're also therefore requesting that
Right.
some of that budget be allocated to the following expenses. So it's a net negative, net
Yeah.
neutral.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yep. Yep. It all goes to the general fund, and all revenues just help offset that. It's never going to be self-sustaining. That then we, at budget, our tax base is what it's already budgeted. It's paid.
But if you
for,
go
so-
back and say, I want more money
Right,
for
here's
another
what
lifeguard,
we can
you
articulate.
can also
hey,
say, we've also brought in more money,
right,
which
right.
has gone
So,
into the fund.
absolutely,
Um,
exactly.
Something I said I would bring in, I think this is the spot for it. So at a last chamber, 2 chambers ago, conversation was with some of the resorts in town.
Mhm.
And they had now like all of a sudden realized that we actually have a park here and that they're using it. I think part of that's the revenue side for us, but they asked if we could send to the concierge or whatever, like a card that talks about Founders and where it is. And I said, I don't even know if we have one. I have no idea. But it's worthwhile to some of these bigger resorts that the people are looking to come here and they don't know where it is.
Right.
So it happened to be Chica and the Islander that I was sitting there talking with.
Okay.
And they just asked me and I said, yep, I'll bring it up.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we have a rack card. We work with Judy we've been working with Judy to get all the information out to the resorts, but we could do more of a, yeah,
yeah, and
absolutely. It's
I would hand carry a few of them if you had them. So
yeah, no, we can certainly do that. So yes, so it is $10 for adults, $7 for kids or seniors. And then for each, it's a per person.
Before
It was $8 for adults and $5,
so
20%. Right. And then,
well, everything.
Yeah.
Too.
I know there's,
So,
and
say,
everybody's costs have gone up,
Yeah.
just, ours have too, and it's,
no,
I know.
I think, yeah.
We've had-
all agreed on.
Yes.
That's.
yeah. And then once the pool opens, they pay the additional fee to get into the pool. And that's going to be, that increase as well. So
Okay.
$5 for adults, $3 for kids or seniors for the day. And then we do have the elevated fees for the holiday weekends. And so that's 15 for adults, $10 for kids and seniors. That we didn't change. We already felt like that was priced pretty appropriately. So, yeah.
And David, I would suggest that if the hotel groups want to have something promoted, a way to do that would be digitally and on their scroll inside the hotel.
Mhm.
It talks about whatever you want to. I mean, handouts are one thing, but usually you go into the hotel and
Yeah, they have a
all the
scrolling.
different things that you can do and where you go and
Right.
everything. That could certainly be created once and
Yeah.
reused in any one of the facilities.
And that's what we had been sending, and working with Judy. She did send that out digitally,
Mhm.
but we'll keep pushing it out there. Yeah,
Good.
for sure. You want me to
What's
keep-
next?
Do you want me to go ahead
Yeah,
with
go ahead with the
programs?
park program.
Okay. So just a program update and recap. We just concluded our Beats on the Bay music series, which was awesome. So our last event was April 17th with the Crossfire Creek Country Act. All shows we're happy with the attendance. Everybody enjoyed. It went by pretty fast, and we're working on next year's lineup. So happy to keep that going. It's been fun. We had the 5th annual Swim Across America event back on a couple weeks ago, April 18th. They had over 60 swimmers and raised about $75,000 for our going back to it's a cancer fundraiser. So, and I was proud to be one of the lifeguards at the event on the back of a jet ski, along with two of our other lifeguards, Liz Kyle and Noah Levine. So it was fun to support that event. And so now we're moving into our summer operations. We are hiring. We just kind of recapped on the lifeguards and our summer staff positions for the camp. Summer camp are almost filled, so we're getting what we need there, and just gearing up for all of our regular summer activities: the rec camp, tennis camp, swim and dive combo camp, synchronized swim, and like Maria mentioned, there's going to be a TBM, Treasure Village Montessori is having a sports camp. So lots of fun activities for the kiddos. So we're getting all that geared up. And then of course we're working towards the reopening of the pool. And then planning for our July 4th celebration. And this year's the big America's 250-year anniversary. So trying to plan some extra fun activities within, to honor that. And then our contractors are doing well. Most of them are at the Jacob Center. So our Aquafit, Learn to Swim lessons, of course, Florida Keys Swim Club, springboard diving, and our synchro program are all operating up there, and things are going well. It's been a really good relationship with them, and some of them have mentioned that they might work something out where they're servicing both areas of the community. So that's pretty cool. But on some sad news, we are losing our coach, our master's coach, Jen. They are leaving town, so we are without a master's coach. So we are working on putting an RFQ out for a master's coach and just reestablishing that program. So that concludes my report. If you have any questions.
Yes, that means Andy's going to. Yep. They haven't left yet, have they?
I don't have that update. I know. You see your car there? I know that I saw they had posted something that they're, pending sale. So I think things are happening, but. Oh, that's good. They're probably, that's right. They're probably timing that out with the school year too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you want to just fill us in quickly on the pool progress? Like there's water in the pool and what else is going on?
Yeah, that's part of my.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Did you have something to say?
Yep.
Anybody have questions on activities?
Nobody tell Marie or Annie, but I snuck in one evening late and swam and the water's just fine.
No lifeguards. We don't need those things.
Could I insert one thing?
Sure.
While we're in budget? So I spoke to Ron last week, and apparently if anything is even peripherally going to be a committee agenda item, I can't talk to any of you, even if it's not a direct agenda item. This is mostly for Joseph and David. But so Mr. Saunders was grateful enough to tell me that he had one lead that he was following on for moving public works, but it did not work out because it was not financially feasible. But that is the only thing standing in the way of phase 3 of the Leg Miller proposal, which is an expansion of pickleball courts, hard volleyball courts, the airnasium, moving public works. If he finds a place to move public works, I would personally like to move quickly and go before the village council. So I wanted to ask the two of you in the context of the meeting to start thinking in advance if you know of any fundraising options so that if I go to the village council, that I could maybe present them a lower figure for their total cost. So just be thinking about that. It doesn't need action right now. You might know of an individual. I have the one fellow that I haven't spoken to in a year who said he would cover the cost of the airnasium. But as I say, I haven't spoken to him in a year because nothing's happened yet, and I don't want to keep bothering him. But if you know of anybody who would say, sure, I'll throw an X number of dollars for a pickleball court for naming rights. I don't know if the park grants naming rights. If we have 6 pickleball courts, this pickleball court graciously donated by John Doe, Jim Smith, Bill Brown, etc. Or if the two of you have any particular ideas as to how we might generate revenue, since I think the two of you would be most closely aligned to it, I would love to hear them before we go to the council. Thank you.
So we're all in and we're all waiting for that as soon as we figure out the public works thing, because that's going to be the most contentious issue in this. When we move the public works and where they're going, that real estate, that's the contentious issue. Once we understand that, then we can go, I think, and go get money. I'm not worried about it at all. But that's the one I'm probably watching.
There's a lot of people that would help.
Yeah, I think the problem is where are we going to move public works?
Well, exactly. Now, like he said, I mean, there simply aren't a lot of good options. But this is the only of the 4 phases of the Miller-led proposal. This is the only one that had universal appeal, universal improvement, universal approval. We were 9-0 in favor of it, and not one person I've talked in the village is opposed to it. It's just a matter of where to put public works.
Yeah, we gotta, I would think if we could find that.
So why are we?
The benefit to find a place for them would really help the park, because the park could raise some money to get, a lot of.
If we put
City expenses or park expenses.
If we put one of those, green pretty fences with pictures on it at Island Silver and Spice, why can't we move that stuff there? It's vacant and there's no plan. I mean, Island Silver and Spice. Why?
There's gonna be a lot of people opposed. And I don't even think we want to get into that right now, but
Okay.
public works doesn't belong in the middle of.
I agree, but it doesn't belong here either.
No,
Yeah,
but-
it definitely doesn't.
No, but there's other spots, that's all I think.
Where?
Where?
Do we want to take tonight?
Meta.
I mean,
So-
there's one place right next to Ritchie Lane that I know would make a great public works.
We have a.
I know, once we rip that building down, that'll make a
Ron
great.
is appropriately here.
Well, since we're being indirectly talked to, about 3 weeks ago, I put in the newsletter, the manager's message that we may be looking for a place for public works. I got at least one phone call, lady Mia Berry, Lena probably knows her. She has a place right next, it's called Island Aluminum. It's right down the island here. And so she quoted, I said, well, want to sell it or lease it? I want to need some numbers. And the number that she thought she might want to sell it for was in the millions. And then the lease was going to be, I think, 20,000 a month. I said, at this point with our budget situation, I don't think that's very feasible. As you're saying, we looked at a UPS building, for example, the one down there by the arts thing, that didn't work out. So I have looked at least 2 places. What I'm really strongly considering, and I think it may have been in the master plan, was the hill. I had AJ, it was a junk pile up there. and I had him go through and basically clean it out. It's a lot bigger than I thought, because before it looked kind of junky and without taking out a single tree, and I'm anti taking trees out.
Where's this?
Right over here, the hill, it's called the Hill. If you go like past the marina and go around that way,
Yeah.
there's like, the garbage trucks go up, there's some dumpsters up there. We've kind of cleaned out that area, and I'm gonna start looking at that because also, this is not really park related, but the marina, this is an update. The TDC, in an unprecedented, I keep using that word, unprecedented move, allocated $750,000 to the village for Founder's Park improvements, I think it was, but it includes the marina and the boat ramp, et cetera. So part of that is also gonna be parking. So the next May 12th meeting, we're going to have Peter Frezza come in. He's been talking to some engineers about a very preliminary design plan. But part of that's going to have to be freeing up some of the parking, because if you attract more people, like with boats and trailers, you got to have someplace to put them. And so we're looking at that. So I'm strongly considering having AJ moved over to what's called the Hill. You're welcome to go there. So it's right around the corner there. Now, Maria brought up that it's not just AJ. The park has a lot of their maintenance stuff over there too. So it's not going to be totally freeing up that area, but at least getting. I told Maria today that one day I went by there like at 3 PM. I saw, I think, 12 public works trucks there, just sitting there. So I think that can be moved over there. So I think that'd be the first step, would be to get them out of where their current position is, maybe to the Hill, because I don't have any better ideas for the Hill. But other things like Silver and Spice, the church, those are, those would be temporary solutions, because had a parking gap person in last week for paid parking. And one of the things we're looking at is at least part of Island Spice being a paid parking lot. But there's also a lot of activity, as the real estate market knows, with Lorelei and Woody's, they're all for sale. And that downtown, I call it downtown Amarada area, is kind of hot right now. And before you did too much on Silver and Spice, I'd like to kind of get a better idea of what else may be going around there to make sure we fit in there. We've talked about putting a civic center there, community center, theater, whatever, maybe some housing there. But those are all, that's been a year. I've been here a year now, and we've been talking this for a year.
And that's what I meant. I didn't mean, I think that is such a large topic.
Yeah. It could be a good temporary spot.
Yeah, it'd be tough.
And that's what I was talking about, just temporarily to free up the room to get this done.
Yeah, to get
You
the
know,
footballs.
You get this done.
Right there.
I'm telling you, that
off. There's more room than
playing
over
room
here
back.
for all, where they. put
Well,
all the
we did that
stuff
with
is
Green
now.
Turtle, Green Turtle hammock. I was told that Public Works is using that
Right.
there one day, and I basically directed AJ to get all the stuff out of there. And by the way, May 19th we're having a business after hours at the Green Turtle, because the pavilion came out really nice. So we're really making the Green Turtle a nice spot. The next one is to make this a nice spot. We bought the church several years ago. I've moved Public Works from the Green Turtle over to the church, Island Community Church, the back parking lot there. If you notice, that's where Public Works is putting a lot of their stuff now. It's not really a long-term solution, because we paid $4 million for the church, and I don't want to have a $4 million Public Works building. That would cost another couple million to get it up to speed. And so, but I think the Hill may be the most likely place. So that's what I think Dr. and I are talking about. He was walking the park, and I kind of showed him where that might be. But yeah, we definitely want to get him out of there.
Well,
But I'd rather look at a long-term solution than a temporary one. I don't know if that's sure that answers the question, but.
Joe, you guys?
Sorry.
No, I'm just asking if you have anything more for,
We're just
For the
like,
manager.
no brainer.
Yeah.
anything more for
Because
the
the problem,
manager?
once you do, like you take Island Silver Spice building and you do a temporary, it could turn into like forever.
Well, I'm not hearing that as,
Taking forever already.
I don't think that's the conversation. I think the conversation, the manager has said that he's looking at the Hill.
Great.
And since nobody.
Everything else, Alina knows this market as well as anybody. Everything I've looked at is extremely expensive.
Don't buy anything.
Just the land, and that's not talking about whatever improvements would have to go on the land to make it a public works building, for
Yeah,
example.
we don't need to buy any more stuff.
Yeah, and
Sell.
so since, to me, the Hill makes sense, we already own it. It would take not as much money to, make it nice for public works. And so that to me seems, I'm still open-minded. if somebody came in with a great deal, but I don't see any great deals out there that make sense financially, even on a rental.
Plus. with
20 grand a
these-
month to rent someplace is not a good deal either.
No, Maria's always been
Every year
crazy.
We went to, we lose donors that would, help. You
Yeah.
know, that's found money. But it's gonna
But
be
we-
lost money if we don't do.
I gotta
something.
tell you about, it's probably almost been a year where he told me one day he had somebody, like he said, it's been almost a year. But I'd like to go back to the master plan Maria and I talked about today about maybe start to actually implement some of it. They've already started on some things, but some, from my standpoint, cleaning up that area back there, especially since the marina does look like it at least has a yellow light. I mean, our Vice Mayor Mahoney went to the TDC and a shock to me, got 750,000 because they've never done that before. We didn't have an application in. They just said, here's 750. So I got the ball rolling. Now we've got a couple of grant applications in to clean up the marina area. But once again, the marina, I look at I look at it holistically, but there's been a tendency to pass say marina is different than the park, but it's sitting inside the park. And so we're looking at taking over more control from the village standpoint of the marina and integrating that into the rest of the park. And that's, they got some things they need to have done over there, you know, improving the boat ramp, maybe it's widening it, the gas pumps, et cetera. So there's some work to be done over there, but parking is a big problem over there. And it generates revenue, but there's a lot of unused spaces. It's not really, in my opinion, laid out properly. And so if we're going to do a master plan for the marina, parking, even in the marina and outside the marina, should be part of that master plan. So I want to expand it beyond the marina.
Yeah, because we need to take care of those backcountry guides
Yeah.
that
Where the
we've been
sport fishing
talking about
capital-
for years.
Yeah.
History
and-
capital of the world.
Well, they've been pretty vocal about it. We have one on the council, so he mentions it once in a while too.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things have been.
Speak up.
For 2 years. While we waited for that master plan.
I don't know if that answered y'all's.
No, is that helpful on the, so everybody agrees we want public works moved. Sounds like sounds like the manager is on board with doing something and it's in.
And I'd welcome you, I mean, Maria can tell you where it is if you're not familiar. The hill is right over here. And if you go past, it's blocked off on the village hall side, but if you keep going this way and follow around, there's the chain's not there anymore, but you can actually go up into there. And we've also gotten rid of the chickens that were hanging out there and we were spaying and neutering the cats. So it's not quite as much the wildlife refuge it used to be.
Jungle there, plenty of room.
Yeah, there's still a lot of dumpsters and all there, so there's still some work to be done, but there's a junk car, well, not junk, there was an accident with one of our works in there.
You could build a little city hall for the council members over there. There's so much room.
I'm more worried about what happens over here, but I think we're,
Yeah, but
Great. Thank
tit
you.
for tack. We'll get-
Anything else for Ron? Thank you so much, Ron. That's why we're really happy to have you here, be a part of this. Maria, you want to pick up?
Yep. So I'm going to report on our capital projects that are currently happening. The main one is obviously the aquatic center improvements. It's going along really well. We're in our 3rd month of construction and improvements there. The pool currently is filled with water, which is nice to see that. But the other improvements that are happening are, it's just a process. So the locker rooms are still being upgraded. You know, we're putting in all the new fixtures and flooring and fans. So it's, you know, we're in the process of doing that. Same thing with the pump room, getting new filters, new pump, new, everything back there, new surge tank area. So it's just a lot of moving parts and it's going as scheduled. New scoreboard as well, getting a new scoreboard installed. Our diving platform, we're putting in a new diving platform for the 3 meter. So it'll be safer for the kids to go up and down to the 3 meter. I think I hit, the main thing is the lifeguard station. There's going to actually be an enclosed lifeguard area with AC for them, a first aid station. So that's a big improvement. So the guards, I think, will be happy with that. And yeah, so I'm real happy with the contractor, Stangard Aquatics. They're doing an excellent job. They actually run the Jacob Center. So, there are ties to, the Keys community, and I can't speak any highly of them. I mean, they're doing a great job. So as I'm told, everything is on time and, hopefully within budget as well. So yeah, another month. So hopefully by the end of, we're end this, May. So we're coming up on May.
Are you looking at like excuse me, a grand reopening?
We have talked
Like
about,
Memorial Day.
we would like to do that. I think it really depends on the timing with everything, how much time we really have to, put it all together and get, and open up. So, but yeah.
But
we'd
maybe
like to.
Memorial Day weekend.
We hope it may, like I said, we want to open up the end of May. It may not be Memorial Day weekend, but it'll, that's what we're
That's the
aiming for, but with construction, you just don't know, so, but.
And then you
Okay.
talked about the July 4th. Is there anything bigger that's happening, more safety stuff and concerns? Do we have any?
Oh, for the July 4th
Yeah.
event?
Yeah, we have increased security with our police details, and we've worked with the sheriff's office to increase that, and that's what you mean? Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be big. It's on a Saturday, so yes, we've had all those conversations and think we got a good plan and the traffic logistics and security as well.
Yes, the police plan on having a boats on the water as
Yeah.
well, so I think,
Yeah.
Captain has a good plan, and we are definitely doing improvements with that, but we're gonna have some other activities during that July 4th event as well, so we hope to make it a better, big event, so.
Just like I said, from the chamber event, from what I understand on occupancy, this is the highest occupancy they've ever had pre-booking July 4th.
Oh, for July.
Down here. Yeah, it's off the
Yeah.
chart right now. Yeah.
Because it's a Saturday.
It's because it's a Saturday,
Yeah,
yeah.
Ah,
And
that too.
I think that it's a Saturday.
Yeah,
big,
Yeah.
it's
massive,
gonna be
massive big weekend.
Yes,
Yeah.
we'll be ready.
Yep, we will be. Okay, so that's the pool project. The second project that is actually going to start next week is our ADA playground. Our accessible playground is going to get started next week. So excited about that. We just got the equipment delivered today. So it's over there by the beach area, and it's going to be a really special playground. This thing is going to be nice. So real excited about it. And then also along with the playground, we will be doing some upgrades to that whole beach area. We're going to be putting in, the volleyball court will be moving, so we're going to move the volleyball court. And then we're also installing tikis and bigger beach area. So it's going to be a great improvement to that area. And that's all in the phase 1 of the master plan. So that's everything that's in the master plan that we've talked about. And along with that, we do plan on applying for a TDC grant application for improvements to the beach bathroom. So we want to do out there is enlarge the bathroom that is there and add more toilets, urinals, fixtures, and so forth, storage area. So that is something that we are going to apply for. The application process, I think, is in May, sometime in May. So we will be putting in for that. And the project we're looking at is about $450,000. So that's what we're going to be requesting, the full amount from TDC, and hopefully we'll get that. We usually do pretty well. So that's something that we will be applying for. And that's also in phase 1 of the master plan, is to improve that bathroom facility, which is really needed. It's the bathroom facility is 26 years old. So it's time to get that upgraded. And then also we were just talking about our next budget, which is coming up real soon. The process is we'll be looking at asking money from our village council for improvements to the park. And a lot of these improvements are within the phase 1 of the master plan. It's the golf cage facility. We were wanting to put in turf. So that'll be a nice improvement, wanting to put turf in the inside of the golf cage. Also install a new putting green in that area. And as well as putting, actually the golf cage itself, the netting and the cable, it's due for replacement as well. So pretty much that whole golf cage area, we want to make advance improvements to. And that is phase one of the master plan.
So with that, so this, obviously the golf team uses it, we
Yes.
know. So, since we're gonna have tons of extra turf here anyway.
Yeah.
I think that is something we discuss, but I have a feeling we're gonna have it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how much that would cost, by the way, but
Mhm.
you know, there's certainly gonna be plenty of extra turf off that field. So it's just an
Yeah, that's-
idea.
Could discuss with
Yeah.
the school board, you
Yeah.
know, obviously, that's still, we need to get the baseball field moving forward.
Well, no, once he
Yeah.
gets, because that'll be done next week. I'm not worried about it. He's got that. Yeah, I know. That's easy. No problem.
Yeah.
And then also anything you're advocating for the council, let us know, maybe an email. So that way, you know, when they ask or we can
Yes,
push.
and these are just initial conversations of definitely with staff. We haven't even approached all these things with Ron yet, so. So I mean, these are just the initial stages of what I'd like to see move forward. You know, it could change, but these are things that we all discussed in the master plan process, so these are like, I think, good projects to move forward. And also along with the budget, the things that need to be replaced is the multi-use field, the backstop area here, the fencing, the dugout, that is in dire need of improvements out there. And also, the Wall of Fame project that we just talked about, we're asked for some money to put in the budget for that. And, the south entrance resident, entrance, which was also included in phase one. That's something that will be discussed as well. So there's a lot of prioritizing of all these amenities. So I think it's like the initial stages of it. So maybe our next meeting that we'll probably schedule and hopefully in June, these items will come back to you and maybe we can look at prioritizing.
Yeah, especially that south entrance.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is on phase one. Is it a priority for the, community and for the committee? I don't know, so. Yeah,
Well-
so there's a lot of things that are kind of on my list, but I think, looking at the whole list of things and budget too, how much money are we really, that do we see that we could really get approved?
Is there anything in the parks?
Not, and this is just Founder's Park.
Well, and Annie, you mentioned that down the road, maybe next report will be the results on the changes in revenue at the gate and what that would look like. And what I would remind us of strategically is when we go to make budget requests, just remember that here's the baseline, that this is what we've had, and that the park budget is part of the general fund. This has been the relationship. We are now bringing in more revenue, and we are therefore asking for a proportionate amount of that revenue for the following improvements. That's what I would think to do. Because that's really what it is. We're not asking for something new. We've increased the amount of revenue that the park is bringing in. Oh, great job.
Yep, so that's my list. If you have any questions about any of the projects or,
It's nice to be able to afford on some of these things.
Yeah.
that are all
no, it is. It's pretty exciting because the playground.
exciting, yeah.
The playground process, I think, started 3 years ago. I know it seems like forever. So now that the equipment's sitting at the end of the park, it's kind of exciting. And the same thing with the pool as well.
Is there any consideration of like a celebration, grand opening of the pool slash
Yeah.
the playground area?
Yeah.
That
We-
might just be something that
Yeah.
the public might like to
Yeah,
have
I
and
think so.
see.
We may have to do a soft opening just to get the pool open, but then have another date for the grand opening party. Yeah, that's exactly what we're hoping for.
And when does camp start?
June 8th. I think we have, actually, I think our synchro camp is set to be the first one to start, June 1st, synchro camp. And then we go all the way through August 3rd to the 7th. So we got a full lineup of summer programs.
Well, great job, guys.
Thank you.
Committee, is there anything else? Christy and team?
Not from me. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for being here, Christy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
All right. And Ron, thanks for being here with us. And staff, as always, great acknowledgements. We appreciate you. So,
So we'll look
If-
at the schedule for next, and, for the
Okay.
next meeting.
Are we gonna move to time frame? This is the first I haven't seen. so-
Yeah. Well, we used to meet at 4,
Oh,
and then we changed it.
got it.
So I don't know how the committee.
4 o'clock is good for me. I mean, I'll be 10 o'clock.
Staff likes 4 o'clock. It's better for us.
Better than 11 o'clock.
well, and I think the 4 o'clock helps to accommodate staff also.
Yeah.
Because therefore you're here, we have perhaps a little more access to having Ron. And if the committee can make those arrangements, then we'll look at prospective dates, look at 4 o'clock,
Okay,
and we'll
perfect.
look at communication with the committee for seeing what works. Okay, anything else?
No, that's it.
Move to adjourn?
Thank you, everyone.
All set? Thank you, everybody, and
Thank you.
much for being here.